Zamperla Volares are among the most maligned rides in the roller coaster community. These are flying coasters where riders are placed in these weird caged cars. For years, I heard how awful these rides were, but I've honestly enjoyed the few I've ridden. So in this video, I will share what these coasters do well and explain how you can get a more comfortable ride experience. Humans have always been fascinated with the sensation of flight. Roller coasters have tried to mimic this sensation over the years. For years, the best manufacturers could do was to place riders beneath the track with suspended or inverted vehicles. Then in the late 1990s, some small car flying coasters were produced. The model really took off in the early 2000s when Vekoma and Bolliger and Mapillard debuted larger scale flyers with big inversions. These were costly additions, so they often found their way to large chain parks. Zamperla entered the flying coaster market in 2002 with a much different model. Dubbed the Volare, this would be an ultra-compact flyer. This ride was targeted towards parks who wanted a flying coaster, but had space or financial limitations. Zamperla has built 10 of these coasters. The first was Flying Coaster Elitch Gardens in 2002, but this ride has since been relocated to Coney Island where it now runs as Soaring Eagle. Some of the most well-known installations are Volare at Wiener Prater, Hero at Flamingo Land, Superflight at Ride Playland, and Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland. Most of these Volares are the standard model, but Wiener Prater's is technically a custom layout. While the elements are mostly identical, the transitions were subtly tweaked to better fit the plot of land. Over the years, I have been able to ride half the Volares. Zamperla hasn't built too many of these over the past decade, but they recently built one at the Skytropolis indoor theme park in Malaysia. While I don't hate Volares, I will admit there's room for improvement. With Zamperla rapidly improving their coaster division, it will be interesting to see if they iterate their flying coaster model into something greater in the near future. Now Volares look downright bizarre. It starts off with the spiral lift hill. That in itself is unique, but rather than having a chain or drive tires, you have this rotating egg beater in the center that pushes the train to the top. It looks like an Archimedes screw. Then the cars look like torture chambers. Riders have a cage around them, and they are whipped around the tight elements. But it is an attention-grabbing design because of the novel riding position and series of quirks. These rides do not have the best capacities. Unlike other flying coasters that have long trains, Volares have single-car vehicles that hold just 4 people in a row. Parks usually have a few cars on the course at once, so the capacity more or less is similar to a Wild Mouse. At smaller parks, this is not a major issue, but this can cause lengthy queues at a larger park. Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland is the Volare at the largest park by far. That one consistently has a 30 to 45 minute wait during peak season. The Volares have a continuously moving load platform. When cars return to the station, they are transitioned from the flying position to a vertical position. At this point, the cage opens up, allowing riders to leave the train. You essentially stand on a ladder for the experience, so you climb down that ladder and exit. Those boarding walk towards the train and climb up the vehicle. The cage is then lowered by a staff member, and as you leave the station, the vehicle is pushed upwards into the flying position. I think the secret to having a pleasant ride experience on a Volare is where you place your feet. If you're too low on the steps, your upper body will not have as much support. This means it can move more and your head can very easily smack into the cage that surrounds you. That's especially true because you have some clearance between your back and the cage, so you can sort of lift up during the ride's inversions, further changing your position. I find it best to go as high as possible. You want to jam your shoulders into the pads. This locks your body into place, minimizing displacement. I know some may find this riding position uncomfortable on their shoulders, and that's fair, but it's no trouble for me. Once dispatched, you move into that flying position and roll forwards. You head onto that spiral lift hill. You sort of stall out for a second as you wait for the egg beater to catch up to the train. When it does, you'll hear a loud clang and feel a bump. Then you're pushed all the way up the lift. Most Volares are 5 stories tall, but the aforementioned Wiener Prater one is a tad taller. At the top, the standard Volare has a little S-bend to the side. You then have the largest drop on the ride. It is roughly 2 stories in size, but it has solid zip to it, and the visual diving downwards in the flying position is always fun. You then rise upwards and are whipped around an ultra-tight bank turn. This has some great positive Gs as you feel the ride trying to push you outwards. The transition is jerky though, so if you are loose, expect to hit your head here. But with the riding position I use, I don't have this issue, allowing me just to enjoy the display of force. This is followed by the best part of the ride, the barrel roll. This element is wicked. It is nice and drawn out, resulting in some incredible hang time. Remember, you have a gap between your back and the cage, so you will very noticeably feel your entire body fall backwards. It is a very freaky sensation, and unlike any other inversion out there, most flyers have far more restrictive restraints. Immediately after, you have another super tight bank turn. It rides fairly similar to the first, having similarly strong Gs and questionable transitions. You then pass through a mid-course brake run and typically it doesn't slow you down. Then you have a small dip. It's mild, but it rebuilds your speed. Then comes another compact bank turn. It's sort of angled downwards. This one's another jerky one, but again it has nice positive Gs. You then have another barrel roll that's equally as awesome as the first one. It delivers another dose of scary hang time. This is followed by another tight turn with some force. You then hit another mid-course brake run before entering the finale. The ending is quite mild compared to the rest of the ride. You have 2 more bank turns with a gradual downward slope in between. You get some light force in the turns, and as with the others, you can hit your head if you are in the right position. You then hit the brakes and you hit them hard, and you come to a full stop. If your shoulders weren't already at the top of the cage, they're about to be forced there. You then return to the station, and as you do, the car rotates 90 degrees so it's vertical and the cage opens up, allowing you to exit, ending the experience. The standard layout is roughly 1,283 feet, or 391 meters of track. The custom one at Wiener Prater has an extra 150 feet of track. While this isn't much track overall, the ride duration is ultimately respectable, and the ride has decent pacing too. So what would I rate the Zamperla Volare model? I would give this coaster a 5 out of 10. They're fine rides. They're far from perfect, but I can enjoy them. The key is to jam your shoulders into the cage to eliminate any headbanging. If you do that, you may be able to enjoy the layout much like me. The 2 inversions are spectacular. They are unlike any other inversions out there. And the turns pull some good Gs as well. I do wish the ride tracked a bit better and had more rider-friendly vehicles, but it's admirable how Zamperla found a way to create an ultra-compact flying coaster. This ride does a lot in a small plot of land. As for how specific installations run, I found the one at Wiener Prater a tad shakier than the others, but still manageable. I think the best of the bunch is Soarin' Eagle at Luna Park. That one had more clearance between your ears and the cage, meaning it is harder to hit your head. So those are my thoughts on Zamperla Volares. What are your thoughts on this model? Are you able to enjoy them as well? Or do you absolutely hate them? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.